Good day, sir. This is a research presentation of Kayako, Tuabi, and Reyes. The mission of the Department of Education is to protect and promote the right of every Filipino to quality, equitable, culture-based, and complete basic education. As you can see at the picture, there is a cycle, people walking on the stairs, and graduates. These pictures represent the Continuous Improvement Program. Continuous Improvement Program has three major steps, and these three steps is divided into 10 processes. Those processes are get organized, voice of the stakeholders, walk the process, identify the priority improvement area, root cause analysis, developing solutions, finalize improvement plan, pilot testing, rollout, and lastly, check progress. This process has a cycle. Those cycle is for continuous improvement. Also, the people working on the stairs represents gradual improvement which the CI has aimed to. And also, the graduates, which are the students, are the primary stakeholders. Continuous Improvement Program is a legal-based project of the Department of Education, with the Department Order 44 with the series of 2015 stated, the School Improvement Plan is a roadmap that lays down a specific interventions that a school, with the help of the community and other stakeholders, will undertake within a period of 3 consecutive school years. The implementation of development activities integral to it are in the school such as projects under the Continuous Improvement Program, the creation and the mobilization of learning action cells, and the preparation of the school report card. SIP seeks to provide those involved in school planning an evidence-based, systematic approach with the point of view of the learner as the starting point. Ultimately, it is envisioned to help schools to reach the goal of providing access to quality education. Again, the title of this research is Understanding the Continuous Improvement Program in Mathematics, a Phenomenological Study. This study is anchored in anthropological theory of didactics, utilizing its framework which defines the didactics of organization involvement on flow of the teaching and learning process of the subject matter. According to the University of Copenhagen, the anthropological theory of didactics is a research program which studies the phenomena that are characteristics of teaching and learning, beginning with the recognition that any teaching system includes the teacher, the learner, and importantly, the thought content. ATD has developed from a mainly descriptive theoretical framework to a structure that includes both analytic and normative notions. The system, in the sense of a kind of superstructure to explain the meaning and method of the studies, appears mainly in the preface, where, where the didactical motivation of the subsequent chapters is explained, to show to the teacher the places where the learner might step into the learning process of mankind, and more widely to enable the learner to see the importance and reality of mathematical tools. Winslow 2010. The paradigm shows that CI can be applied in the mathematics curriculum. Around the math curriculum is the CI output and encircled by the CI process. The blue oval stands for the step of assess, while the green ones are for analyze and the red is for act. Those processes involve the techniques and types of tasks, and this CI output or CI programs has an implication to mathematics education. In the theory of ATD framework, the CI is applied specifically in the techniques and types of tasks. Moreover, it illustrates the implication of CI in mathematics education. The researchers aim to discuss and describe the process of continuous improvement program and analyze its implication to the mathematics education. This study answered the question, how does the CI used in math curriculum? What techniques and types of tasks do the CI teams consider in their projects? What is the implication of CI to mathematics education? This statement of the problem is aligned to the conceptual paradigm of the study.
The researchers decided to choose the participants with the use of a non-probability sampling technique, which is the purposive sampling. Berner 2002 stated that the purposive sampling technique is a non-random technique that does not need underlying theories or a set number of informants. The researchers decided what needs to be known and set out to find people who can and are willing to provide the information by virtue of knowledge or experience. And according to Palinka's 2015, purposive sampling is a technique for identifying and selecting individuals or group of individuals that are specially knowledgeable about or experienced with the phenomenon of interest. The researchers identified the participants with the following criterions. First, the CI teams that are present during the symposium last November 23, 2017 at Batis Aramin, Lokban, Quezon. Secondly, CI teams that their outputs are available. Third, CI team members that are available and ready for an interview. And lastly, CI teams video presentation availability. With these criterions, the researchers gathered data with the 14 CI teams, wherein there are a total of 1 senior high school, 3 junior high school, and 9 elementary level. The instrument used by the researchers in gathering of data were the unstructured interviews and the documents, which includes the checklist, the tarpaulin, brochure, and the video presentation that represent as the outputs that are provided by the informant. With the interview, the researchers utilized the unstructured interview, where Ronson and Haas 2008 stated that this kind of interview, the researchers formulated the interview questions with the general concerns and interests. Those questions are relevant to answer the research questions. Modner 2008 said that documents are important to supplement as well as to compensate for the limitation of other methods. Documentary evidence acts as a method to cross-validate information gathered from interview or observation, given that sometimes what people say may be different from what people do. Under the documents, the checklist and the outputs were included. In this study, a checklist was utilized. The checklist was produced through examining and checking the process of the continuous improvement program in the CI project learning guide. It was used by the researchers to check if the teams involved had followed the steps that stated in the learning guide for the CIP. Checklists are the simplest method for systematizing scoping of the likely effects of a proposed policy. They help point out areas that require a more detailed assessment. In some cases, checklist also represents the impact analysis itself. Ferrati 2013. Another documents that the researchers utilized was the outputs. Included in the outputs were the tarpaulin, brochure, and the video presentation of the different CI teams format curriculum presented during the symposium. The researchers followed two stages, namely the preparation stage and the administration stage. The phases and stages are indicated on the table. Based on the table, the first phase of the data gathering of this study was when the researchers decided to send an approval letter to the division office in Santa Cruz, Laguna, to conduct a study regarding the continuous improvement program in the division of Laguna. The second phase of the data gathering of this study was when the administration stage. The researchers attended the division's conference for CI projects where the participants and judges were present. The event entitled 2017 DepEd Laguna Symposium was held in Batis Aramin, Lokban, Quezon last November 23, 2017, wherein they conducted the data gathering. The first phase of this stage was when the researchers gathered copies of brochures and pictures of tarpaulins per CI teams of math curriculum. Secondly, the researchers conducted unstructured interviews with the available member per CI team. Next, when the symposium was divided into 4 halls, the researchers distributed themselves to film each presentation of CI teams for math curriculum. Next was when the researchers interviewed the pioneer and the mentors of CIP of Laguna as a consultation with an expert regarding the CIP. Lastly, the researchers utilized triangulation, coding of data, and the thematic analysis for analyzing the data and for the interpretation.
For the data analysis of this study, the researchers used triangulation, actual coding, and thematic analysis as the statistical tools of a qualitative data. According to Yin 2003, the basic objective of the analysis is to derive conclusions from the data, keeping a clear chain of evidence. Triangulation is to cross-check data interpretations where a variety of data sources, different investigators, and different methods are utilized, according to Lee 2004. As stated by Runson and Haas 2008, triangulation means taking different angles towards the studied object and thus providing a broader picture. The need for triangulation is obvious when relying primarily on qualitative data, which is broader and richer but less precise than quantitative data. Specifically, the type of the triangulation that will be used in this study is the methodological triangulation. According to Patton 2001, methodological triangulation is the type of triangulation that involves using more than one option to gather data, such as interviews, observations, questionnaires, and documents. Coding in a qualitative inquiry symbolically assigns a summative, salient, essence-capturing, and evocative attribute for a portion of language-based or visual data. The data can consist of interview transcripts, participant observation, field notes, journals, documents, literature, artifacts, photographs, video, websites, email, correspondence, and so on. The portion of the data to be coded during first cycle coding processes can range in magnitude from a single word to a full sentence to an entire page of text to a stream of moving images. In second cycle coding processes, the portions coded can be the exact same units, longer passages of text, and even a reconfiguration of the codes themselves developed thus far, according to Saldana 2009. While actual coding, which had been used in this study, actual coding is used to denote the way in which connections are made in new ways between categories and subcategories, according to Saldana 2009. During actual coding, the researcher is responsible for building a conceptual model and for determining whether sufficient data exists to support that interpretation, and the researcher may determine the initial categories identified must be revised, leading to re-examination of the raw data, according to Skinner et al. 2014. According to Brown et al. 2002, in actual coding, 4 analytical processes are occurring. First, continually relating subcategories to a category. Secondly, comparing categories with the collected data. Third, expanding the density of the categories by detailing their properties and dimensions. And lastly, exploring variations in the phenomena. In this study, the thematic analysis will be utilized. Thematic analysis is a method for identifying, analyzing, and reporting patterns or themes within the data. It minimally organizes and describes your dataset in detail. Thematic analysis involves the searching across a dataset that a number of interviews or focus groups, or a range of texts to find repeated patterns of the meaning. The exact form and product of thematic analysis vary. It is important that the questions outlined are considered before during thematic analysis. Thematic analysis is essentially a method for identifying and analyzing patterns in qualitative data, according to Braun and Clark 2006. While according to Joff 2012, the end result of a thematic analysis should highlight the most salient constellations of meanings present in the dataset. Such constellations include affective, cognitive, and symbolic dimensions. According to Braun and Clark 2006, there are 6 phases of thematic analysis. This should not be viewed as a linear model where one cannot proceed to the next phase without completing the prior phase. Rather, analysis is a recursive process. In the light of the conclusions of this study, the following recommendations are given. The researchers recommend that the Department of Education should continue to shape the continuous improvement program in each region of the Philippines. The DepEd should be encouraged not only to form any project in a chosen school, because CIPs should be implemented in all schools. Also, DepEd should conduct seminars, forums, and training workshops more often to build more knowledge about CIs. The researchers recommend that the administrators should be aware of the problems that the school have and exert more effort to address them, for it helps stakeholders to harmoniously orchestrate the effective teaching-learning process. And the researchers recommend that the stakeholders should work hand by hand with the DepEd in implementing and conducting continuous improvement program by giving the real situations in different educational institutions. Since this study focused more on teachers' perspective, the researchers suggest the future researchers to continue this study with students' perceptions on how and why the CI must be conducted and implemented in schools.